Greetings, Hotep. My name is Rob Hotep again, broadcasting on behalf of 13scienceastrology.com. I thank you for viewing my channel. I'm doing this video on the ascension process. The ascension process. I got an inquiry. An individual wanted me to describe exactly what ascension is and how does one go about ascending. Now let me first point out that the ascension process should not be confused with the concept of heaven. And I say this for a reason. The concept of heaven is based upon when a person dies, they're going to go to this place and they're going to get away from all the problems of the world and all the cares of the world, and they're going to go to this place where everything's going to be peaceful, blissful, things of this nature. Now, while some of those attributes do describe the ascension process, it's a big difference. You see, what people fail to realize, and especially in the Christian religion, is when they deal with heaven, they're dealing and saying that it's a place, and they say that the Lord is sitting on a throne. They're saying that the Lord is sitting on a throne. What they fail to realize is that if you're leaving your physical vessel and your soul is leaving your physical vessel, then is heaven really a place? That's something you got to ask yourself. Is heaven really a place if when one dies, they're leaving their physical vessel? Now, the ascension process is not a place. It's not a place. It can become a place, but it's not a place. The ascension process deals with raising one's energy. You see, most people, and I know you hear me say this, most of us here in this third dimensional matrix, and I know you hear me say this like a broken record, but I'm going to say it again, because sometimes we repeat ourselves so that we can help people to understand and know. Most people are living from their lower chakra region. They're living from that place, or from that place, yes. And the fact that you're living from that place creates the environment around you. The fact that you're living from your lower chakras, that dictates or that mirrors your environment. So what you are doing first and foremost with the ascension process, now there's different levels to it and I'll cover it. You're raising your energy. The ascension process is raising one's energy. That's what it is. And it's learning to live from the higher chakras, the higher self. What we call the higher self or the higher chakras, which start here. This is what the higher self is. It starts here, and on up. Well, actually it starts in the heart. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The higher chakras start in the heart and they go up from the heart chakra on up. The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th through the 13 chakras. This is the higher self. So when one learns to ascend, they are learning to raise their energy so that they can begin to live from the higher self. Ascension does not mean getting away from or disappearing from one's problems. Does not mean that. What I mean by that is that it's not like heaven and hell where you're going to just disappear in this place and everything's just going to be okay. You can't just press a button like, do, I'm ascending. It's not like that. No UFO is going to come back to help you to ascend. In truth, the best kept secret is the ascension process is learning how to turn one's body into a UFO or IFO. That's true ascension. Learning how to turn your body into that spaceship. That's right. You can turn your body into a spaceship. And this is what the ascension process is and the different levels of it. The first step is learning how to live in the three-dimensional world from the higher self. And when you do that, You'll notice your world change around you. Once you begin to live from the higher self, once you truly begin to live from the higher self, your world has it has no other course but to change for you. It's obligated. Your world is obligated to change once you begin to live from the higher state. That's what ascension is. To first do this, you have to decalcify the pineal gland. You know, I talk about this all the time. You have to learn how to decalcify the pineal gland, to open up the pineal gland, because this is the master gland of the body. The pineal gland is the master gland of the body that helps the body to regulate itself on other levels. The pineal gland has to be open if you want to experience these higher realms of ascension. See, many people want to escape. They want to disappear. They don't want to deal with the basics of changing their diet, meditating. That's right, meditating. To ascend means that you're going to spend a lot of time within the self, meditating. There's different forms of meditation. Meditation is not always just sitting in a chair or laying on a flat surface and breathing. There's the walking meditation. There is a form of exercise meditation, sexual meditation. But to experience any of these forms of meditation, one has to raise their energy to ascend through the breath, through the decalcification of the pineal gland. This is what you have to do if you want to experience this new reality in this new world, because that's what ascension is. It's the experience of the new reality in the new world, right here on earth. It's heaven on earth. That's what the ascension is. It's heaven right here on earth, the first part of it. Now the second part of ascension is once you experience, you can't get to the second part, remember now, can't get to the second part until you master the first part. The second part of ascension is that when you transform into the reincarnation state, into the life after death state, you'll skip over the reincarnation process, or you'll rise up past the reincarnation process, and you won't be attracted back into the cycle of reincarnation and the cycles of the earth. That's the second step of ascension. The second step of ascension is when you don't come back into the physical vessel and the physical shell. So you must remember that you came back to this physical state, in this third dimensional state, for a reason and a season. And there were lessons that you had to learn here. But the ultimate lesson is learning how to burn out these desires of ambition, of greed, of all of these material things. You have to learn how to burn out those desires, because desire is the key and the principle that attracted you back here to this third dimensional state. It was through desire. Yeah, through desire. Your current situation was what you desired. Now you can say, I didn't want this. I didn't ask for this. You're speaking from a logical standpoint. Desire is a scientific standpoint. It's based on your energy. Your energy matched your situation, and that's how you got into it. And that's why you came back to this state. So if you want to ascend past that, you have to burn out these desires. And the only way to burn out desire is to liberate oneself, to free oneself. Freedom is the prerequisite to burning out desire. True liberation and freedom has nothing to do with getting things. You see, some people, when they think about freedom, they think about, well, if I had that car, or if I had that house, or if I could go on that vacation, I would be free. True freedom is when you are liberated, totally liberated from all things, to where, this basically means that you're happy in whatever situation you're in. You're free, meaning that you don't feel controlled. Everything that you do is because you want to do it. And this is the key to ascension. So the second part of ascension cannot be accomplished unless desires are burned out here. The only way to burn out desires here is to liberate oneself, to free oneself from the desires, to truly experience what they call nirvana here on earth. A great way to know as to whether or not you're going to come back is to know, are you happy here in your current state? And not, see, this is the part that people get confused too, not a happiness that is, I'm sorry, not a happiness, not a happiness that is based on unhappiness, meaning that I'm happy in my current state because I'm limited in getting the things that I really want, so therefore I have to settle with being happy in my current state. That's settling. That's not happiness. That's called a happiness based on unhappiness. I just got to be happy. I got to go ahead and just accept the fact that I got to be happy with what I have, because guess what? The reason why that's not going to work is because you'll attract yourself back in another life, and all the things that you wanted really deep down inside, that you really suppressed and accepted your current state, and you really wanted these other things, these mundane things that you couldn't get because of your current life situation. You'll attract yourself into that very current life situation, which means you didn't beat the reincarnation process and you didn't ascend. You see, so the ascension process is deep. First, you have to, if you really desire, say for instance you're poor. I'm going to give you a good example of what I mean by happiness based on unhappiness. Say for instance you're poor and you say, I don't want to come back to this place. I don't want to come back to this place. I want to ascend because I'm not happy. And really you're not happy because you're poor. So you say, I'm just going to be at peace with my situation and just be at peace and just accept this as my peace. But really you want to be rich. You see, you really want to be rich. You know it deep down inside. You're poor, but you really want to be rich. You really want to travel the world and see things. You need money and wealth to do these things. You really want to experience certain things that you can't experience because you're not able. You're not able to experience these things. So your happiness is based on unhappiness. But what's going to happen is when you transform to the other side, you're going to attract yourself into that very situation that you wanted to experience. You're going to experience that. But if you don't want to attract yourself into that situation, you're going to have to basically make a way to become rich in this life so that you can experience that, so that that can burn out. That's right. There's nothing wrong with being rich. Anything that you want to experience. Say for instance you're in prison. You got yourself into a situation where you're in prison. And you know you're not happy, but you say, I'm going to accept this because I don't want to come back to this place because look what happened to me. And I got myself in prison. What's going to happen is that you're going to attract yourself into a situation where you're not in prison in another life, and you're going to have to experience those same things. But this time you're going to have to avoid prison. You're going to have to avoid that life situation. So what I'm saying is this, beloved, and I'll close this video down. In order for you to ascend, you have to burn out all various desires. So what you're going to have to do is learn how to attract those things to yourself that will help you to get the necessary experiences that you need in this life so that you can burn out those desires. That's the only way. So if becoming rich is something that you want to experience, then you're going to have to become rich. If dealing with a whole bunch of women is something that you really want to do, and you know if you really want to do it, and you can't find peace unless you want to deal with a bunch of women, you're going to have to deal with a bunch of women so that you can know what that's like, so that you won't desire that anymore. Because everybody, the spiritual masters know that those that experience things lose the desire for them. Once you experience something, things are material. So you'll lose your attraction to them once you get them. So sometimes, now some people are wise and they don't need to experience things. I'm not saying everybody needs to. Those are the masters that have already rose above a certain level and they're happy with not having a certain thing because they know that it's going to lead them back into the reincarnation process. and they're above that. They've already experienced it. But if you have the desire in you, and you have to ask yourself this, beloved, if you have the desire in you to experience anything, know that your ascension process is going to be limited to your desires. So you have to burn out those desires. You have to learn how to attract the situations to yourself so that you can experience these things, so that you can ascend to the next level. Hope you learned something from this video. Hope you understand. Those that have any questions, I will do a part 2. My time is limited, but I'll definitely do a part 2. I thank you for watching this video, and I'll leave you in peace, love, and light.